I'm gonna try to do this entire video without waking my cat up / getting her off my lap. There she is. Okay, I'm gonna put it back up. Say goodbye. Yo, hello. I don't know about you, but I've noticed that the Switch feels kind of like it's missing something. Like, I'm very happy with the Switch. The games have been wonderful, but the Switch console just feels like there's something absent. And I couldn't really figure out what it was until I purchased a Wii U of my own, and I started experiencing the Wii U for the first time. The Switch is missing Nintendo's console charm that they've implemented the past 10 or so years. There's just not that much to do with the Switch except play games. And if you've never experienced the Wii or the Wii U or the 3DS, I'm going to take you there. I'm going to show you what the Wii, the Wii U, and the 3DS had that I would love to see on the Switch. You're going to see it firsthand how unbelievably charming these consoles are. And although I love the Switch and I love what they've done with the Switch and the games have been sensational, I think that the Switch would have benefited greatly from a lot of these features. And we can talk about what the path forward looks like for Nintendo for the future console. You getting up? You leaving?
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
We would like to play.
I want to talk about these in chronological order. So we're going to start with the Wii. The Wii comes out in 2006, and to me, the Wii console feels like the first console that I encountered that kind of had the motto of, you can do more here than just game. When you look at the menu, there's a really nice, soothing, like, kind of music. I don't really know what it is playing, but it's very upbeat and bouncy and kind of exciting. And then you see all of these things across the screen. They're called channels, and it was new to the Wii. And these were a bunch of different little experiences that you didn't have to pay any money for. They were just on your system. And this is kind of what I mean by charm. It's stuff that is aside from the purpose of the console. Like, the console itself is made to play video games, right? But this console released with other stuff to do if maybe you didn't feel like playing video games or you just wanted to use your console for something else. And there was a wide variety of things to do. I'll get into what the channels do in a second, but Nintendo started something here that they expand on later in the Wii U. And that is that every single channel that you click on has its own theme, both visually and audiologically. It has different music. Like, for example, you click on the weather channel. You get to see the weather in your area. You can also go to the globe, spin it around and look at other areas. And while you're doing this, and while you're learning about geography and the weather in different places, you're hearing really nice, relaxing music. You're seeing cool visuals. You go to the Everybody Votes channel, and while you're there, you can vote and put your opinion out into the world. And while you're doing that, you also get to see what everybody else's opinion is on the same topics that you are. And again, interesting audio cues in the background, its own music, and its own graphics. There was a news channel, pretty similar to the forecast channel, where you could see news in your area. You could see news globally with another set of soundtracks of its own, both in the loading screen and in the app itself. There's a photo channel, which was pretty cool. You could upload your own photos. I think you could download photos from online, and you could do things like draw on the photos. You could add filters to them. You could make them into a puzzle and solve it yourself. Then obviously we have the infamous Wii Shop channel, which has a soundtrack that is so good that it's just as popular, if not more popular today than it was back when the Wii was active. The Wii Shop channel itself is very simple. Its visuals are nothing to write home about, but the music combined with the simplicity of the visuals just makes it a really nice place to be. And it was a pretty fleshed out virtual console store. They had like 40 pages of stuff that you could scroll through, and I just remember scrolling through the virtual console page and not even being able to buy anything for like hours, dude. Like, I just did that because it was a nice place to be. It felt cozy. And that's what I think the Wii established that no other system had done before, is there were different segments of the console that were not game related at all that just felt cozy. It was like nice to be there. It was visually appealing and it sounded nice. And this is kind of the console charm that I'm explaining. It's like the Wii had a bunch of different spots that felt nice to be in, including just the main menu. And we'll see that continue on with different consoles here. The internet channel, which didn't work super well, but still, it's an internet browser. It'd be nice to have, you know. Be cool to have an internet browser on the console. It would be really cool to have one of those. I think it would be cool, you know. The Wii also had splash screens, and what these splash screens were is if you put a disc into the Wii and you went to click on the game to play it, it would have a special art design at the top and it would play a special song. And these were different for each game. They were really unique, and it was just another added feature that was making the Wii like 1% more enjoyable. But these little 1% add up. When you talk about the splash screens, you know, all these channels, just the menu itself and the music and the layout, like you have like 1% adding up. That's a big difference in terms of how much more enjoyable the console is.
I gotta get one.
Go get your mom and get one so you can get in.
All right, I gotta go.
So we have the Wii, and the Wii feels like a console that is saying, hey, we're not just games here, you can do other stuff too. The Wii U took that to another level. It's like a multimedia experience, but the experience is created by connecting games and people together. It's like there's so much to do on the Wii U. And again, it's a console, but it's not just game focused. It's not game centric. It's like a full package, a full experience of stuff to do and to see, and with your friends or alone. It's there's so much going on here. Like charm level 100 on the Wii U. I can't even express how much effort was put into things that are not game related at all. First off, you have the home screen. You turn the Wii U on and you see all these little people run down. You hear this really relaxing, again, like kind of music, but not completely music. You just hear this soothing tones behind you. And I guess it is music, but it just sounds really nice. And you also have these, like, I think reflections of clouds in the floor. You can see they're pretty subtle, but it establishes that this is a nice, comforting, safe place to be. You see these different drawings and Facebook statuses, stuff that you can click on, and that is the interconnectivity part of the Wii U and what I think the Wii U was built around. It's called Miiverse, and the Miiverse was the social media aspect of the Wii U. So the Wii U had its own, I don't know, Reddit. It was like a Facebook and Reddit hybrid, maybe even like Twitter. But basically there was a social media that everybody had access to built into the console, and people outside of the console didn't have access to it. And it was game integrated, so you could talk to people across the globe. You could send them screenshots of your game. You could talk to them in the middle of a game. If you're stuck on a level, you can air out your frustrations to other people who probably also got stuck on that level. You could click on someone's post, and if you've seen this person around before, you could be like, hey, I like this person's idea. You could add them as a friend. You could send them messages. You guys could video chat, draw each other's pictures while you're video chatting. And what I like the most about this is I think it's really easy online to dehumanize other people, but you could see people in the hub world drawing stuff and posting their thoughts. And like, obviously, yeah, there were jokes and things that shouldn't have been on there, but for the most part, it was like a way to humanize other people within the game, and it felt like a really genuine place to just like connect with other people. It was this common ground where you were surrounded by people worldwide who shared the same interests as you. You guys like Nintendo, or you guys like this game. The Wii U also had a bunch of different channels similar to the Wii. One of the cooler ones actually is they had a Google Maps channel. You have the gamepad and you can just use a version of Google Maps designed specifically for the Wii U on the TV, and you can navigate it with your gamepad. You could go to like a bunch of different places worldwide, including like I saw one video where this dude's just like in the ocean, like there's sea critters around. A pretty cool feature that didn't need to be added, but again, adds a little bit of charm to the system. The Wii U follows suit with the Wii, where every single channel you click on has its own theme, its own music, its own style. Even the parental controls section of the Wii U has like kind of banging music. I'm gonna leave you here for a few seconds with this banger of a song that you probably haven't even heard before. We also have the store, which was updated very frequently. They stylized it based on different seasons, so oftentimes it had a different visual layout as well as musical layout. There are countless tracks on YouTube you can look up that are just different Wii U store themes from different parts of different years. So it was always being refreshed and it was pretty easy to navigate. There were still a good amount of virtual console titles you could purchase individually, as well as different games going on sale, because this is the era where games started to be bought digitally. This, in my opinion, is the peak of the store. I've never seen a better store from Nintendo than the Wii U store. It just works so well, and it's well organized, and it's easy to navigate. And it has banging music, man. I feel like we can't say anything about the Wii U without talking about the Mii creation, because let's face it, Mii creation also peaked with the Wii U because you can do stuff like this. The Wii U also carried forward the tradition from the Wii of splash screens, so anytime you start a game, there will be a short splash screen with its own art and music. These are very diverse and another way to get you excited for the game before it even started. Wii U also had an amazing web browser. That doesn't work now, but back in the day it worked really well. It was incredibly fast, very responsive. It just worked great, and there's a little feature on the Wii U. It's my favorite example of Nintendo charm. If you're using the internet browser on the tablet and you don't want the internet that you're looking at to display on the television, you could press a button to hide what you're looking at from the TV, and a curtain goes over your web browser. And after a few seconds, your Mii will just come up on the screen and just do a range of activities, from like juggling to playing instruments to like just fooling around. And it's something that doesn't need to be there, but is like so adorable and redeemable. This is exactly what I'm talking about when I say Nintendo adds stuff that doesn't need to be there, but that we're really happy it's there. I'm going to talk about the 3DS as well, because it's definitely relevant to the evolution of Nintendo's charm. The first thing I want to talk about is Street Pass. Basically what it was is your console was always on. Even if it was in sleep mode, your console was always searching for other consoles. And if you were near somebody, whether it be in public or in your house, if your 3DS was near another 3DS, your 3DS would remember that. If you went to like a Nintendo conference, for example, you would interact with a ton of people who also had Street Pass on, but you could also just go to the store or go to somewhere with a lot of people and you would almost certainly run into at least one other Street Passer, because a lot of people did this. It gave you different rewards in games. It would allow you to play different games that are just integrated into Street Pass itself. It would just enhance the experience for everybody. There were games directly on the console before you even bought any games. The most notable version of this to me is either the Street Pass games or the augmented reality games, where you could take a picture of your face and then shoot down spaceships coming at you from 360 degrees. There were also a lot of cool apps. I saw people online talking about how you could chat online with people through different apps, and you could like draw stuff, send stuff to each other with like little text messages or drawings. The 3DS also had its own internet browser. One of the coolest things about the 3DS is that they had their own menu themes. So a bunch of different games. I've seen hundreds of different menu themes, whether you're themed after a game or a franchise. It would change the music of your DS menu, and it would change the screen itself. All the icons in the background, everything would be different. You can get these themes for almost all of your favorite games, and sometimes games even had like different variations of the themes.
It's good to play games. But parents sometimes wonder, is my child playing
Amogus?
Okay, so we go through over 10 years of development from the Wii all the way up to the Switch, and we've gone from a console that is just more than games with the Wii, to the Wii U that is like a full user experience in connectivity and gaming, and the DS, which allows you to play anywhere and still connect with people. And we arrive at the Switch. Now, what does the Switch offer to us? Does the Switch build upon its predecessors? Well, no. Not entirely. The Switch is just a console that you can play anywhere, which is cool, but we kind of already had that with the DS. And as someone who loves Nintendo, it's very frustrating to go onto the Switch menu and see how far back things have gone. First of all, the Switch is definitely lacking a lot on design features versus its predecessors. I mean, you just open the menu up, the menu is so stripped down, and like it's not trying to be fancy, it's just clean cut, here you go. I made this in PowerPoint on a stream in 20 minutes. In PowerPoint, I made this because it's just so simple, and I get the argument for it being modern, but the Switch just feels like, take your game and play it. There's nothing else to do here, it's just a gaming system. Like, this console is just a gaming system, but just design-wise, it's very basic, very bare, very plain. If you want more themes, you're in luck. Go into the settings, scroll down to themes, and you can choose between basic black or basic white. It seems like they wanted to update this and either forgot about it or abandoned this, because I don't think they would have a theme section for just two things. I mean, maybe they would. I don't know. There's no music anywhere. I could be wrong about this, but I couldn't find music in the menu or in any other area of the Switch, including splash screens. There's not a splash screen, but there seems like there are areas where there could be splash screens, and I would even argue that the title screen of Breath of the Wild, there's two different title screens, and one of them kind of looks like a splash screen, so I don't know if they were thinking about making splash screens since Breath of the Wild came out so close to the release of the Switch, and maybe they abandoned it and just repurposed it into another title screen, but they don't do splash screens, which is sad because those are really fun. The menus are very minimalist, but to me it goes beyond just minimalism. If we go to the Nintendo 64 game menu here, first of all, this looks terrible. And I've never adjusted this, and I only just figured out now that if you press Y, you can make this look better, because if I didn't press Y, I had this two gigantic gray spaces here. This looks terrible. There's no music playing, which is strange to me because they have the license to all these games. They could just play the music from these games and rotate it. They could have art in the background of these games and just rotate it. I don't know why they didn't do what 3D All-Stars did with Mario. If we open up Mario All-Stars here, you can see there's a different screen for each game. It tells you when it came out. It gives you a little backstory into the story itself. And there's music playing in the background. This isn't a super fancy title screen, but it's nice. It shows effort, it shows charm. If you would tell me 5 or 10 years ago that Nintendo would have something like this on their flagship console in 2022, I would think you were insane. And there's also no extra stuff to do. There's no forecast system, there's no news system, there's Nintendo News, but that's it. There's no news, there's no Everybody Votes channel, there's a photo channel, and you can record photos and videos, which is very cool. I will not say that that's not cool, that's awesome. Recording photos and videos is only so cool. What would be really cool is if I could record photos and videos and upload them to Miiverse. That's another question I have for this console, is why is it not as connective as the Wii U? Because I think having a Switch as connective as the Wii U would be amazing. It'd be incredible. To have Miiverse, to have access to a community of other players, and be able to take videos and screenshots would be awesome. The Wii U had a better online service, much more accessibility, and it was free. It was totally free. I think Miiverse would work so well on this console. And you know what else I think would work really well on this console is Street Pass. Why isn't Street Pass on this portable console? They keep talking about how portable the console is because it's really cool. This console is super portable, and I've had experiences with this console on airplanes and in public that I would never have with any other console. It's very cool. Why didn't they add Street Pass to this? It would be so cool. The DS users are crying right now because Street Pass would be awesome on this console. Even if they were just like, hey, we're gonna give you Street Pass in your Joy-Cons. So if you're going out in public, put your Joy-Cons in your purse or your backpack or your pocket, and if you pass anybody, you can Street Pass with them. Now obviously it's easier for me to say than for it to be designed, but the hardware was already there. They had it in the DS, you know? I'm just whining at this point, but I love Nintendo. I really enjoy their games, and I love what they've done the past 10, 15 years. Even more than that, I love what they've done for the past 30 years, but I just wish there was more in this console. And maybe that's me being selfish, but I love the way Nintendo was, and I still love who they are. I just wish they were more of who they used to be as well. And more themes. I would love themes for this console. There could be so many different themes that would be cool. And to their credit, to Nintendo's credit, they've always been really good at designing consoles, and I have the Animal Crossing Switch. It's a beautiful console. Why is there such a stark contrast between the Nintendo of the Wii U and the Nintendo of the Switch? Because the Wii U preceded the Switch, so something happened in between the Wii U and the Switch. What happened? Well, what happened was the Wii U was a massive failure. And there's plenty of reasons why the Wii U was a failure, most notably marketing. They really dropped the ball marketing-wise, and apparently it was hard to develop games for it, but whatever the case may be, there was not a lot of hype for the Wii U. There was not a lot of financial success for the Wii U. So they were putting all this effort, all this charm into a product, and it was one of their worst products. So in a sense, I get why they've pivoted away from the Wii U. They see the Wii U as a big failure. They probably see Miiverse as a failure. Everything that they did, that I personally think they did so well with the Wii U, didn't work for them. So they said, scratch that. We're not doing anything like that. We're going to release a console that works for everybody. Kind of like the Wii. The Wii worked for everybody. The Wii, whatever its flaws may be, everybody wanted to play the Wii. My grandma bowled with me on the Wii. And they wanted a console that could reach the most people possible. They just wiped the slate clean, and the Switch is what we got. And the Switch is a very cool console. It's a very successful console. They've just migrated away from what they did with the Wii and the Wii U and the 3DS. And to be fair to Nintendo, the Miiverse did present its own array of problems. I saw a lot of posts online about like inappropriate stuff being posted on Miiverse, and drawings are hard to moderate. Generally with that many people, it's hard to moderate. Overall, I just think that they could have managed the problems instead of scrapping it, but I can't say I don't understand wanting to distance themselves from the problems. And it really just seems like this console conformed to the modern day consoles like Sony and Microsoft are putting out. You know, it worked really well for them. Again, I get why they're trying to conform to the other consoles, because like the Xbox One and the PS4 were very successful. They're great consoles. They have a dedicated user base, and the Wii U did struggle, but I think Nintendo's at their best when they're different. The Xbox 360 and the PS3 were trying their best to push graphics, and while that was happening, Nintendo released this, which, at face value, you look at this, probably should be a failure, right? But the Wii was a massive, resounding success because they added their charm to the games, they added their charm to the menu, and they added their charm to the console design. And the Wii worked tremendously. This controller is a remote, and it's one of my favorite controllers because of how they implemented it. And I just feel the same way about their console charm. I feel like they put a lot more effort into things that Sony and Microsoft didn't put effort into, by just making people feel good in their menus, making people feel good in their apps, and they may think that that didn't work for them and that the Wii U failed because of that. And maybe that's why they're not doing it anymore. But personally, I wish they would keep doing stuff like that, because I think Nintendo is at their best not when they're trying to conform to the market, but whenever they're designing their own market and they're just deciding to be different and just take risks and try stuff because they like it or they think it's cool. And to be fair, they're still doing that with their games. Some of the games on the Switch, like Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey, are some of the most fun games that I've ever played. So it's not like we're losing in a lack of games. The games on the Switch are great. It's just, it doesn't feel the same to me. What does the future look like for Nintendo and their console charm? Well, for the Switch, it does not look good. Because recently, within the last year, Nintendo released the new version of the Nintendo Switch, which is almost exactly the same, except you can get an LED screen and it's a little bit bigger and it's a different cool color. So personally, if we're going with design choices, themes, if we're going with channels and apps, I don't think the Switch is going to be the console to have that. I think the Switch is going to forever be a console that is not as connected. It's not going to be as charming and comforting as the consoles that preceded it. There could be hope for the future with the new Nintendo console. I haven't really heard anything about it yet, but hoping that maybe they take the success they got with the Switch and look back at their older consoles and maybe try to combine them together to something new, because that would be amazing. But I'm not super optimistic, because let's be real here. The Switch sold and is still selling fantastically. If you look at how the Switch is now, it's selling so well. Why would they stray from that? I do know that the old Nintendo used to do that, and I'm really hoping that we get the old Nintendo back for the next console, because I think that's our next chance to get more of that classic Nintendo charm that I've been missing for the past few years.
Hopefully, that gives you a clearer picture of how Wii U and all of its connected features work together. Of course, we've got more information to share about Wii U, so stay tuned. And be sure to keep an eye out for me on
twitch.tv/ZCBeard.